and how you first came about just eating meat.
Well, born in Montreal, 1941. So I'm getting up there. I don't even think about that, but our family moved west in the 50s and ended up in a private school and graduated from there and went to UBC to take veterinary medicine because I thought that's what I wanted to do. And I decided there were no women vets at that time. And I don't think anybody suffered from that. I don't think women suffered from that. But in any case, I decided I didn't want to look after other people's animals. I wanted my own. And I'd come from a dairy farm after my dad got home from the war with the VLA Act. He got a dairy farm, and I just fell in love with cows, basically fell in love with cows and dogs and horses at the same time. We farmed with horses in the 40s. And so I grew up riding on the backs of the workhorses as plowing or spreading manure or whatever. And that was the life I really wanted. So what the hell was I doing in UBC? Like spending money I was working at the racetrack and at Hastings Park in Vancouver. And then Exhibition Park until they found out I was a girl. I was actually a guy. I'm tall and skinny. I'm 5'10" and strong as a horse. And I looked about like a 14-year-old boy, I guess. And I was 16, 17. And I had a license to work, to hot walk and guinea. I worked for Eddie Yates and the Diamond State. And then the commissioner of racing brought me in, and I said, he said, give me your ticket. And I said, yeah. And I put Max Hillary, which was my dad's name, my name was Maxine. I'm Maggie, but my name was Maxine. And I said, Max Hillary. And he said, you're a girl. And cowboy hat on, because I'd spent a summer actually working for Douglas Lake Cattle Company, which was owned at the time by Colonel Spencer before Chunky Woodward bought it. And I was actually working at Greenacres Cattle Company, which was owned by Colonel Spencer and his daughter, Barbara. And so, I actually met a cowboy there. And then, so I dropped out I was a total dropout after 2 years at UBC. I couldn't handle the crap in university. It's way worse now. Mm-hmm. But however, they produced people like you, which is it. I didn't like vegetables. I didn't even like fruit. And in the 50s, we didn't have the variety and we didn't have the kind of sweet apples and this sort of thing that have almost been modified to taste a lot better. I mean, we had crab apples on the farm, and that we never had any fruits that weren't in season. And we're talking Canada. Mm-hmm. There isn't a lot of growing season, and there isn't a lot of fruits and vegetables that we grow here. I mean, we don't do anything really well excepting, spuds and turnips and onions and stuff like that. And you know what? I didn't like that. The grouse, like blue grouse, rough grouse, duck in the fall, deer, moose, two kinds of deer. There was whitetails and muleys up there, moose, fish from the creek. There were times when, I know what hunger is. My mom her hair would have been curled if she'd known, because the family I came from wasn't broke. I chose this life because this is the life I wanted to lead. I liked the adventure. I liked the hills. Ended up having 3 babies back in the bush, and I nursed them all because that was easy. We had no phone. We had no power. We had no running water. There was and winters are tough, even back in the hills, north of Kamloops, So they went from me to eating venison. My oldest daughter had never tasted beef until she was 10 years old. And I told them, I said, now this is beef. This is what we raise. And you might not first bite. They were used to venison, all kinds of venison, including moose and salmon, sockeye, salmon coming up creek, all the way up from the Fraser River to the Thompson River to the Bonaparte River to Dead Man's Creek to Chris Creek, where our ranch was. And they would come up there. They would be pretty beat up, and we'd shoot them and pick them up in the creek. And if you couldn't put your fingers through them, we ate them. There was times when life was tough, and the cows, if it was a drought year, they would come down not in too great shape. And the deer, we took 9 deer off the mountain one year just to keep ourselves fed. We didn't have any refrigeration. So, they were put way up into the top of a big ponderosa pine out of the blowflies in the summertime, and you just peel off what you need. And I had a lot of help from a little lady at we were the first white ranch past the Indian Reserve, and she helped me a lot with making dried meat and a little wiki up and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I had dried venison that was cooked and smoked and dried, and my kids teased on that. Like, this is what they ate. And I didn't have to garden. I didn't, the indigenous, they call them indigenous now, but, and somebody asked old Alice, who was just a darling, she was like, and she would take me up and we'd go pick hoosum berries. And that, if you'd ever had hoosum berries, they're high bush cranberries, and they smell like dirty socks. But when you cook them up and you get the juice from them, vitamin C. And so her kids, if they got a cold, they had to take it at work, and she'd give it to me too, and I'd give it to my kids, and they hated it, but that's what they would get, and they very seldom got sick. But the best thing to give a baby is I don't know, like we make jerky ourselves, and it's great. And I'd give it to a baby to chaw on. I wouldn't put but they would pound berries into it, and my kids teethed on that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'd give them the ends of a bone, and they'd gnaw on that. Best thing ever for a baby that's trying to get their teeth to break through the gums, So my kids didn't really have any problems like that. And then I would cut the meat up really fine, and they would into their mouths whatever they wanted. And I never had anything in my whole life since I left home, the age of 17. I've never bought a pound of sugar, ever in my life, ever, ever, ever. It's not in the house. You look in our fridge, there's no vegetables around here. There's all kinds. This morning we had steak. We had a calf. We don't eat a lot of good, beautiful young beef that I absolutely love because it's worth too much to us. And this is the point of me getting in touch with you. You're the only one that ever picked up, Anthony, bless your heart, is that we want people to eat meat and get healthy and get rid of their diseases and be strong. And we want the children to have the brain power and all that. You need meat. Okay. So you get everybody, you and the rest of you guys that are willing to put yourself out there, you get everybody eating meat. Where is it going to come from? I've mentored young cowboys, young ranchers. There's 5 of them that I can tell you right now, and every single one of them have said to me, I don't know how long I can do this, Maggie. I can't afford it. I'm not making enough money. One of the kids that I sell bulls to, I'm mentoring him, and he finally got married. I was so happy. Oh, the first year off, she gives him twins. And she was his right-hand man on the farm. He would go to work. She's calving out the cows. And now she's got 2 tiny babies. And now she's got another kid. And then damned if another kid I was helping with. That is, where the hell the twins come from? Well, you eat meat, you're going to have more babies. That's just the way it is, I guess. But the thing is that how are we going to, if there's no cow-calf man There's no backgrounder. There's no feeder. There's no finisher. There's no truckers driving truck to get those cattle to market. There's no abattoirs. There's Beyond Meat and meat substitutes. And all I hear is these people are saying, well, I know meat's good for me and I feel so much better, but I feel like a murderer. Like, really? These critters wouldn't even exist. We love our cows. I can tell you, the two oldest cows, and I've been in this business for 60 years, okay? Over 60 years now. 23 years old. Yeah, they were named. I had all these kids. So they would name the cows. You on 150 head of cows, they're going to name every damn one of them. Chatty Cathy and Brownie both lived to be 23. The average age of a beef cow, like your dog and your cat, is 10 or 12 years old. Okay, that's the average life of a beef cow. They have to be kept fed absolutely a pristine diet, not the crap that most people in the city feed their dog and cat, because those dogs and cats could live to be 15, 16, 18, 19, like ours do, because they're fed meat. They're not fed this food. They're carnivores. But cows are not carnivores. So we're saying, oh, it's bad to feed them grain. Oh, excuse me? If there's grain out there, the deer and the moose are eating it, whether it's wild oats put on here by the creator, or it's our tame oats, or what kind of grain we're eating, those wild animals will be in there. They're not going to go foraging onto all kinds of fescues and stuff in the fall when they've got grain to eat, and they do amazing things with that grain, because hunting on the prairies, you're getting grain-fed moose and grain. Moose are browsers, but you give them a grain field, they'll eat the grain and they'll put on white fat, and it's absolutely amazing. Sure, they'll go back and eat in the swamps, but this is that's what their rumen is for. And if you look at the physiology, I did get out of university. If you look at the physiology of the cow, this is a miracle. This huge rumen, or a moose, or a deer, or apparently a camel. And I've never eaten camel or giraffe or anything, but they're ruminants. They chew their cuds. This amazing vat that all the grasses and the grains and all that stuff goes into, and the bugs in there eat it. They have a biological tank going on in there. And the bugs, now, this is a lot of things that people don't understand, is that animal raises the bugs in the rumen. Now, if you don't have the bugs in the rumen for some reason or other, too many antibiotics because the cow got sick or whatever, or something happened and she lost her cud, as they say, then the only way to get that cow back into shape, because it can't digest the food without the bugs, is to put the bugs back in the rumen. Now at UBC, we had actually windows sewn into the side of these rumens on these cows. They were fine. They were cows. And we'd open them up and we'd pull it was rank, pull that stuff out and put it into another cow, or tube it in, like put a tube in. You have to make sure you get it past the epiglottis and down into the rumen, because that's the only stomach. You put that stuff back in and away they go again. So it's the bugs in there. And it's actually the bugs, whether they're grain bugs or hay bugs or silage bugs or whatever kind of bioform that's in there, when billions and trillions and quadrillions of these, that is what, through the reticulum that makes the cud, the omasum, all of that, and gut. It's the bugs, when they die, that the cow gets her nutrition from. The point is that 80% of what you put into a cow or a moose or a deer comes out the back end. And that is the only way we can keep our fields with full tilth, full nutrition, full biological matter, it is gold. That manure is gold. If you can graze your cattle out there, it's a beautiful cycle. If they're in a feedlot, by the way, when a feedlot animal goes in, he's about 18 months of age, 18 months to 2 years of age. He spent his whole life eating grass and hay and silage, just like every other cow, just like every other moose, deer, whatever. This is all the green stuff that we grow. The last 120 days, he goes in and his grain ration is increased, just like it would be for the deer if they get into your barley crop. And they can be, elk are brutal. They can just wipe out barley crop like a hailstorm. But those animals go into the feedlot. They get up to a 70-75% grain ration in the last 60 days, 60, 70, 80 days. They're gaining 4.5 pounds a day. And they're putting marbling in their flesh. The frame is already there. That's what you do when you background the calf after it's weaned. It goes onto grass and then it gets backgrounded with silage, and they're gaining frame. It's not a fattening ration or a finishing ration, but they go into this 120 days of their life, and they're living the life of any better than any pet that's locked up in an apartment in the middle of town. Because if they're not happy and contented and cared for, they don't. And the margins are so slim in this business. If they don't thrive, the farmer, the rancher, the feedlot operator goes belly up, and he will last maybe 1 year. That's it. You can't put it away in the garage, go and do something else, and then come back and start farming again. That animal has to be fed. If it has no value at the market and you have to buy feed, and nobody else can afford to feed it because maybe they've had a drought too, you think, okay? And now feed, instead of being $100 a big round bale, is now $350 a big round bale, and that's gone in one pen in 1 day. You know, I mean, during the drought year before last, our extra feed bill was $5,000, and we've got a very small herd of 100 head, okay? $45,000 just to get them there. We couldn't sell them because nobody had feed to buy them. So this is the only industry that you can't go on strike, can't put on hold. But these animals, when they say, well, they're factory farmed. Oh yeah? Factory farmer, and see how well you do with a cow, you know, that weighs 1,400 pounds and she births a calf. How much of a factory farm do you think? This is a hands-on industry. This, if I sound passionate and intense, Anthony, it's because all of our people who are suffering now, 70% of North Americans, weight, unhappy, they don't even like the look of themselves, let alone do they feel good or have the energy. And you're going to get them on meat, bless your heart. You and Sean Baker and Ken Berry, you're going to get them on meat. They're going to feel better. Where's the meat going to come from? Because I can't convince these guys to stay in the business because they can't feed their family and keep their calves alive, you know, in a ice storm. Like, so, and my husband, who is MBA and looks at the cold, hard facts and figures, he said, Maggie, the only we are going to ever be able to keep the beef available, waiting for the world to catch up when you guys get through telling people what they need, they're going to turn around and say, well, thanks a lot. Where's the beef? It's not there. That's not beef. All about this. You've told us all about this, but where's the beef? Well, I'm sorry, there's no beef because the primary producer, the cow-calf man that has to be there every time that cow goes into labor or needs to call a vet to save that cow's life, they're done. They're done. They're not going to stay in the business. I've got 10 of my own kids. Not one of them is farming. My youngest daughter has half a dozen cows in our herd. And she comes out, she's a school teacher. She comes out once a week and helps feed. And we just love her. Dad takes her into the shop and she builds stuff and, and it's great. But she's not farming because she can't feed her. She's got 3 kids. These are my grandkids. Mm-hmm. There's no money in it. There will be people that are willing to make this a lifetime project because they love cows. They love the horses they need to work with them. They love their cow dogs. They love being out there on a tractor, putting up hay for our 6 months of brutal we have in Canada. They're willing to do that. They're willing to be up there just like Mac and I are before we came down here to, I did run a comb through my hair. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of pride. I don't care about that crap. But the point is that I was just so excited this morning when I realized that we were going to do this. Because now I just want to dump this problem that we have about how are you going to take this on, because you're going to, because I can't do it. And you know how to do this, Anthony. You know how to explain to people that not only is carnivore we are carnivores, okay? So you want to put the other crap in your body, that's fine. You're going to have aches and pains, but you're not going to have it's not a great thing for a woman who wants to walk around in a bikini, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, so I don't care about that, but people want to be healthy. They want to be strong. They want to feel good when they get up in the morning. They want their brain to work. They want to remember things. And at 80, I feel like right now, Mac and I are approaching middle age. But okay, that's fine. He's 67. I'm 82 on February the 1st. We've just bought a little farm in Colombia. We went down there because we're building a sailboat in our shop because Mac wants a sail. He's a sailor. I took my license and went down 5 days. First holiday ever, 5 days down at the coast, went sailing on a boat to learn how to sail because I said, I'm not going sailing around the world with you ever until I know how to sail, Yeah. So that's what we did this summer, August 1st to the 5th. My daughter came and looked after the whole place, bless her heart. And then we decided that where are we going to put this boat? He'll be finished, 32-foot catch. Okay. And he worked all over the world in his life. And we got a motor from a fellow in Bangladesh that took apart a lifeboat, sent it to us. It's a diesel. It's a diesel. $2,700 delivered into our shop. Wow. Went into this boat is going to be sailing in 2 years, and we're going to sail it down to Colombia. So I said, well, I don't want to live on the beach in some touristy place. Can we look for maybe a little cabin inland? Colombia because it was cheaper. You can't afford to go to Panama or Mexico anymore. The tourists have put that out of sight. We found this little 13-acre farm there. So came back, talked to the banker, borrowed the money. We got to make this pay. This is a family farm down in Colombia. We fell in love with the family. And they said, well, can you please take it over? Their dad had just dropped dead 3 years ago. And he was only 60 years old. And he had all these projects going. And the boys had one lives in Bogota, another lives in Manizales. And we had to learn Spanish, for gosh sake. So we've been doing that over the last year. And we're not, because nobody speaks English down there. Mm. So down there, and this family, they lowered the price for us. And the Colombia peso dropped to the Canadian dollar. So I went to the banker here and he says, you guys are crazy. And I said, well, maybe, but can we do this? Put another mortgage on the farm. We'll manage it somehow. what we're doing. So now we've got 1,000 coffee plants going in there. I don't drink coffee. Now I do. Okay. Might as well try. He says coffee's okay. I don't know about that. You see, I don't really care about all the intricacies of the diet and that. I know what works for me. And if I anything that doesn't agree with me, my body tells me. Okay. So that's like, an 18-year-old going out and having his first drink, or maybe his first, what do you call that? A toke or something. I don't know. It doesn't work very well. Well, this is what vegetables do to me. 1 apple, okay, a cracker with figgy stuff. What did we have the other day? Fig jam. And okay, the next day, yeah, I still have to go to work. I still have to fill grain buckets. I still have to check cows. I still have to, we had a little RSV thing going through there. You know what a rhinosinusial virus is? Well, we have a bovine has the same thing. It's not zoonotic. You don't worry about it. But it goes through kids the same way as it goes through calves. And we didn't give shots because we took off to go to Colombia, see the farm, and fell in love with it and signed the papers. And when we got back, the weather had just taken a dive. So the calves didn't get their vaccinations. And we had half a dozen go through with this syncytial virus, which of course you can't heal with an antibiotic, but whatever. You have to be there. And doesn't matter if you ate fig jam and it reacted on you. This is what I'm saying. There is no paid sick pay. There's no days off. There's no holidays. There's no, what do you think? You can take a long weekend off? Christmas, we spent it up in the feedlot. We were supposed to go for supper to my daughter's place. That didn't happen. We had a freeze. Okay. So there was no Christmas this year. There wasn't. But you know what? Our animals are good, and we still laugh. We still